objectives. So things are beginning to be both more stretching, more difficult, more important, and more complex, without the kind of infrastructure that we had even a year ago. Let me briefly describe something about where we are with the North East Purchasing Organisation, which I'm hoping tomorrow will transform itself into the North East Procurement Organisation. A small leap for naming an organisation, but a big leap for the North East. NEPO has had a proud reputation going back to 1976, focused very much on what I would call commodity goods and services: energy, paper, photocopiers, stationery. It was, I believe, or at least we like to claim, the first consortia with an electronic portal that now more than matches actually what Alice has got in Scotland, I'm pleased to say, and will develop further in 2012, hopefully learning from further examples from what the Scots have been able to do. We think we were the first consortia to really engage with energy contracts, and that's a significant part of our business right now. We currently have about 160 million going through our various contracts, but we have a mission, and I think this is a mission that we want to see happen elsewhere in the country, to target the full range of spending within the North East, local government and wider public sector, to bring greater procurement expertise to bear on the 2.9 billion that's spent by local governments, at least in this year, under better procurement control. So what are we doing with NEPO that I think is a good exemplar for other regions, and I think actually drawing from what Scotland is doing, there's some strong parallels to where we want to go. First of all, at the bottom, I have the joy of working with 12 local authorities owning NEPO, signed up to what we're doing, a joint committee of elected members, officers at a senior level from within all authorities, and already a high level of usage of NEPO contracts and engagement with what we're trying to do, which has both real benefits and quite clearly a heavy governance load to manage as well. We are inheriting the spend analysis and developing new spend analysis tools from the region's efficiency improvement partnership, so we already have a kind of visibility of what's being spent, and we have the NEPO portal, which does pretty much the same things as Alistair was describing, is very actively used by all the region's procurement teams, has 25,000 suppliers registered on it. We are about to go live with our own standardised PQQ, which has the blood of 12 local authority drafters spread all over it. I'm so pleased to come in at the tail end of that to resolve the really critical issues like health and safety policy that we're now clearing out of the way so we can actually go live with that. We're building everything around category management rather than picking on contracts and doing them because they seem to be a good idea, with two parallel objectives, one of which is to deliver significant savings for the region, an objective that's even more important now than it was when I joined in October, and also a mission to develop the local supply base, very important to the North East with its renowned dependency upon public sector jobs. We want to make sure, my councillors want to make sure, that we are supporting North Eastern business to help develop its capability and competence to both win and bid for certainly public sector contracts, and once we have winners in sectors that are relevant to the public sector, to help them to export, if you like, beyond the Tees Valley or beyond the Tweed, to make sure that we have jobs created on the back of successful economic development in the region. Now, what NEPO is setting out to do, and where consortia in England and the Pro 5 are also now heading out to do, is to move from the lower levels of the bars on the right-hand side of this chart, where we are predominantly based at the moment dealing with business services, office solutions, photocopier stationery, some stretching into professional services and waste, but until this past year, very little local government procurement engagement with areas such as social services, construction and highways. Yet you can quite clearly see that's where the spend is. These are northeastern numbers from 0910, and that's where NEPO will be spending most of its time in the next 2 to 3 years developing category strategies in social services, in construction, in FM and the like. And that's where we're going to achieve our savings, increase our relevance to the North East, and develop a much stronger basis for really influencing the way in which the major spend areas are delivered. And the Pro 5, I think, is genuinely re-energised. For a whole variety of reasons. I think it's quite clear now that as separate organisations, each with different constitutions, we've collectively come to the clear understanding that our strategic mission is not just to address the £2 billion worth of spend that we currently target, but it's the 60 billion that local government spends in England. And then we have really ambitious and why not set stretching targets to achieve a much greater penetration, much greater relevance to get to something like 50% of spend coverage or potential spend coverage by 2015. That means a much greater level of collaboration. So if you were a bit mystified by competing consortia and different sort of sales messages and interests in the past, that I think you will see over the next period emerging as a much stronger national view about the way we ought to go. And that's partly because we're addressing it from a category perspective. So not all the Pro 5 members have the same level of interest in many areas of spend, particularly as we head towards those higher bars on the bar chart. Yet all of us have made some progress in understanding what our regions and what our owners actually want, and we're developing our stories in those directions. I'll come to food in a moment as a bit of a trailblazer. And perhaps equally important, given my past as CIPS President, I think we're quite capable of demonstrating that we're going to be delivering sustainable solutions as part of our core mission, not just with new and expanding ranges of sustainable products to respond to the needs for carbon reduction in local governments, but also as a core part of everything we do.